Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 177 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Oh, hi, Dave. Oh, hi.
Kate, we're almost to 200 episodes. We're getting scarily close now.
Wait, what number is this?
177.
Oh, well,
I mean,
that's
we
like
still got
another
half a
6 months.
year,
Yeah.
but it's a big number. It's getting very, very big.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Doctor Who.
There's a lot of Doctor Who,
I mean,
and we've
this
given
this year is
ourselves
this
the
year's the
task of doing
50.
extra Doctor Who.
Oh my God, Dave, let me finish.
Sorry.
This year is the 55th anniversary of the show in November. So if you look at it that way, we're making pretty good time. We're already up 20 seasons. Come on, that's a pretty good ratio, I guess. I mean, we would have been done by now if we weren't doing Big Finish, but
I know, but the Big Finish stuff has been so entertaining and rewarding.
exactly. I mean, sometimes it's a bit long in the tooth, but
Sometimes it's a hot garbage fire, but most of the time it's pretty good.
sometimes it's time in office or spare
Yes.
parts or whatever.
The grayest or whatever you want. What have you?
Hmm.
So,
I swear to God, we're the only people on the planet that actually likes Zagreus.
because it's weird.
It's so weird. And it's so bloated, and it's just a terrible anniversary story, but my God, do I like it.
It's almost Doctor Who does like David Lynch in the sense of how introspective and weird and convoluted it is.
Yeah, it's exactly what nobody wanted.
Well, except us.
Except us.
So Kate, do we have any Doctor Who news this week?
Not fucking really. The biggest thing that has been up my asshole of note is Big Finish is starting to roll out the Jodie Whittaker logo on their covers. So I guess this summer's monthly releases, and I think the upcoming Eighth Doctor set are both have the new logo, and I still don't really like it.
I don't like it either. It looks weird. It doesn't look appropriate for Doctor Who. It looks like everything else.
It looks like Torchwood.
Kind of, but not as good.
Yeah, but so I don't know. I don't like it, and part of the reason that I don't like it is because I'm an autistic, and I have an autistic shit fit. That because the logo is so wide, they've done away with the sidebar on the covers, which I really liked. And they've gone back to just having just a square image with some cast text at the bottom, and the logo at the top, which they did for the first I don't know 5 or 6 years of Big Finish, but then they added the sidebar, and I like the sidebar with all the story info and the writing credits and the picture of the Doctor in question and all that stuff, and I thought it gave the releases a nice yes, I am playing with something, dude. It gave them a nice uniform look, I guess. And so even when you had all these disparate series of companion chronicles and early adventures and monthly and box sets and whatever, they all had that fucking stripe on the side, and so it made them all feel like a unified thing. And I guess they will with the new logo too, but I don't know. I just don't like that format as much. One of the neat things that I do like is that they're doing reversible covers with the specific seasons logo. So I guess that's cool. I believe they've been doing that for a while, but it's pretty neat, I guess. I don't know. I just fucking, on the one hand, I'm happy that not Big Finish, but the BBC is no longer holding the classic series at arm's length, and they want to have everything under kind of one banner, but I don't like the banner they picked, basically.
I think it looks stupid, and you want a new banner, damn it.
Well, either that, or I just wanted them to keep the fucking Pertwee McGann logo that they've been using forever for the classic series. I mean, I don't really like any of the new series logos, to be honest with you. Like the fucking little diamond plaque thing that they used for Eccleston and Tennant is kind of not great, and then the
DW in the shape of the TARDIS.
I don't really like that either
Ugh.
for Smith or I mean, and Capaldi's doesn't have the DW, but it has the same font basically, and it's kind of chunky and ugly. So I don't know. Whatever. I guess that's not really news. That's just me bitching about like minutia that doesn't actually matter.
It does not matter, and you are just bitching.
Not in, yeah, it doesn't matter in the least. And I mean, I'm a download customer, not a CD customer, unless I have to be. So I don't even have to look at it outside of on my iPad screen. So you know,
You're a ridiculous mess, Kate.
why am I a ridiculous mess?
Because this is what you choose to be angry over.
I'm not angry. I just don't
I
like
know.
it.
I know.
I'm not like, oh, fuck you, Big Finish. I'm never buying anything again. No,
So,
I save that for the BBC, or I'm never watching the show again.
so, moving along. Are you ready to talk
Far
about?
away.
Have you? Do you have any exciting Doctor Who watching you've been doing?
No, like I said, we're gonna take a pit stop and do Class since this is where it slots in, but I haven't had the chance to pick it up yet.
Yes, Class.
That show.
I looked at it on my watch list again, and I was like, I could watch this, and then I did. It was normal.
I think that's probably what most people did.
It wasn't what I watched. Wasn't bad either. I just
Didn't
could
care.
watch something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's rumors going around that Big Finish are gonna like resolve the cliffhanger or whatever, but I don't know if anybody would care particularly. Although, given the existence of spin-offs for the fucking Lady Christina or whoever the hell, like, I mean, they'll probably do it. No barrel is too much bottom for Big Finish to scrape.
Very true. So maybe while you catch up on Class, you'll let me know when you start watching it, and I'll watch it too.
Sure. I mean, we'll do it over the course of the show anyway. So
yeah. Oh, I know, but that's years from now.
I know. I'm just saying, if you don't feel like it, we'll get to it eventually anyway.
Well aware of facts.
Okay.
So, then let's get right into what we're talking about this week. Unfortunately,
unfortunately,
we'll get there.
Okay.
Yes, let's talk about Resurrection of the Daleks.
Okay.
So this was a big, kind of a big story. We see we're now in our final three Peter Davison stories.
For TV, anyway. We've got about like 1,000 million audios.
Not 1,000 million. We already did the 1,000 million story.
Yeah, well, with Nissa we did, but there's still. Let me see. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 audios still.
Oh, fuck you, Kate.
So eat a dick. We're not done with our boy 5e anywhere near yet.
Do we get a new companion soon? Because otherwise we just got Turlo now, which we'll get to.
I beg your pardon. That is not a problem.
I love Turlo, but I usually like, especially in my classic Doctors, I like having more than one companion. So where we last left the TARDIS crew, because it does pick up immediately, the TARDIS is being dragged through the time stream. The story opens up on basically the alley from RoboCop, where they run over that melting guy.
Sure.
Yeah. Nondescript, like industrial alley where a bomb squad has been called in to investigate, and we see, I don't know, stuff happening.
There's basically like, so there's a bum and he's like having a smoke or whatever, and fucking there's like a bunch of people in gay space clothes like running around, and there's cops like mowing them down with machine guns, and then they kill the bum too because witnesses, and that's all terribly mysterious. But then there's like a couple of guys that get away into the derelict building, and one of them gets killed, and the other one is a shy guy, and he like hides in the basement. And then after that is when like the bomb squad shows up because they've unearthed like these weird casings that they think are bombs, but are strangely space like.
Also, there's a space prison.
Oh yeah, so on the other end of the time corridor, because it connects Earth with a space station in the future. And the space station is where Davros is being held after he was like taken into custody at the end of Destiny of the Daleks. So I guess he's been in cryostasis for like 100 billion fucking years. And yeah, so the Daleks.
We said something about 90 years, but
90 years. Anyway, so the Daleks have been fighting the Movellans all this time. Their war is over, and the Daleks lost because the Movellans developed this virus that like specifically attacked Daleks, like Fox Die or whatever. So they've been like enlisting humans in gay helmets to like be their goons as well. Like the Dalek Supreme is there. So anyway, they're invading the space station to wake Davros up because they want him to like develop a cure or like immunize them from the plague. But he wants to like he wants to fucking make
new Daleks.
He wants to make like a new breed of Daleks that would be subservient to him instead of like rebellious the way that they often are. And in the meanwhile, the Dalek Supreme also wants to capture the Doctor and his companions and duplicate them so that he can send them to Gallifrey to assassinate the High Council, which is a plot point they kind of bring up and then drop immediately, even though that's actually interesting.
Yes.
Also, there's a bunch of sleeper duplicates on Earth that'll never be followed up on either, so. Hooray.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this isn't a very good story, Kate.
You think so?
I think so.
Why?
Because there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
None of it's presented in a fairly interesting manner. We have the Doctor acting completely out of character, which we'll get to at the end.
Oh, don't even give me that.
I don't like what they did. I think they did something interesting with it, but at the very end, I think the actual ending it's a good ending to a bad story because it's boring. Like I literally fell asleep in the first episode.
Boo. Did you notice that this was 2 hour-long parts instead of 4 half-hour parts?
Yes.
I don't know why they did that, but they did.
I don't like Davros anymore.
I've never really cared for Davros in all honesty.
Great in the first story.
Well, yes, and I have to say, like, he was also really good in whatever Capaldi one that I watched recently. I mean, like, you can use Davros well. There's like a Paul McGann audio called Terra Firma where he's really good.
Yes, but this is a complete Davros.
Well, I would just. It's not so much a waste as it is just he's not necessary in most Dalek stories. Because the Daleks don't really need a leader beyond like the Supreme Dalek or the Dalek Emperor or whoever. Like they don't need a face. And
we didn't need another saboteur antagonist in this story because there's 4 of them basically. Or 3, just 3, I suppose. Because there's Davros and his Daleks, the Dalek Supreme and those Daleks, and the evil space guy, whose name I can't remember, and his commandos.
Well, his commandos are working for the Daleks, though.
Oh, yeah, but they're also scheming on their own until the Daleks just turn on them and murder everyone.
Well, not as such. It's more that they're, you know what? Look, so the human goons are working for the Dalek Supreme because they don't really have the numbers anymore, so they have to like use people as slaves.
Right.
The only reason they really start turning on them is because Davros puts the whammy on them, though. So like they're not really scheming on their own, other than they're trying to like. The issue is that they're turning on Davros because the Dalek Supreme and all them, like the plan was they're gonna like raid the space prison, get Davros, and leave. But Davros is like refusing to go with him. He's like, I'm going to do my evil work, yeah. And the Daleks are like, we kind of have to go. And he's kind of just not playing ball. So the human goons are like trying to kind of like self-destruct the space station so they can just kind of go. So Davros will be forced to leave, I guess, whether he wants to or not. But yeah, basically the action of this episode is kind of split up between, so like with the one end of the time corridor is on Earth, where there's like the Not Unit and Not Osgood have been called in to examine the bombs, which are actually canisters of the Movellan virus. And so Tegan is mostly dealing with that, whereas the Doctor is dealing with Davros and the Daleks on the space station. And Turlo is fighting with the survivors of the station crew.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So you like this story?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Why did you like it?
Well, because it's got a lot of atmosphere. It's got a lot of well-directed action and performances. It's pretty miserable. It's not quite Earthshock levels, but it is pretty miserable. And I thought it was a nice comeback for the Daleks, because the last time we saw them on TV was Destiny of the Daleks, and that was embarrassing. Like, everything to do with the Daleks in that story was embarrassing. From the way that Tom Baker would push Davros around in his little wheelchair, the absolutely pathetic attack from the Movellans, the fact that the Movellans are a bunch of like mop-wigged she-males, like, it's awful. It's an awful story. So it's nice to have the Daleks back being like ruthless and nasty and very, very dangerous. And I like their infighting. I like that there's multiple factions of Daleks, and some of them are loyal to Davros and some of them aren't.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. Also, I realized I don't like stories that are dealing with the end of the Daleks, because the Daleks never end. And
well, they don't end, and I wouldn't consider this dealing with the end. I would just say they're kind of backed into a tough spot, and I think that just kind of makes their scheme more dangerous.
I also
it's like, and the way I look at this is like, it's like if Warriors of the Deep didn't suck, because like it's the same sort of like fucking like horrible slaughter, but the difference is that it's not lit like a Walmart, and there's actual characters, and people get to emote, and there's smoke, and there's mood, and there's good direction, and you know there's action, and that's not embarrassing. Like, there's a lot to like about this story. I don't think it's amazing, but I mean, I wouldn't put it top tier, but I do think it's very solid and definitely enjoyable. And you know, it's wonderfully gory with Daleks melting from disease and exploding and mutants strangling people.
I'm sorry, we're gonna talk about the end when they're melting and it's just a bunch of Daleks blowing shaving cream out of their casing.
It's great.
It was embarrassingly lame.
Hell no.
It was so dumb.
I don't see how that's any different than like the white Cyberman foam.
Because this was literally clearly just shaving cream shooting.
It's not shaving cream, it's toothpaste. Come on.
No.
Give them some credit. They shelled out for toothpaste. I don't care. It was cool.
It was very lame. I can't believe.
Fucking ass-biting sadness and grumpiness, I think, works very well. Because the Doctor, and you'll say it's out of character, but in season 21, the Doctor is more forceful and he's more disillusioned with things. And it seems like ever since Warriors of the Deep, he's been getting more irritable, and he's been getting darker, and he's been getting a little bit more ruthless, which is interesting for Peter Davison because he plays it well, and because up until this point, especially on TV, he was a very polite guy. He was a very sort of laid back sort of doctor. He was the kind of one who would like to see events play out and kind of just tinker here and there as necessary. And so it's almost like he's getting kind of fed up with how violent the universe is. I think when Tegan leaves, which I know we'll get to that, but when Tegan leaves saying like, this is enough, I think he's kind of feeling that way too. And I think that's why he snaps and goes after Davros the way he does, especially because to me, it's like, it's a parallel to Genesis when the doctor's like, should I just blow them all to hell? And he decides no, but this time he's like, maybe I should have done that.
Except, see, that I understand, but it just, the doctor literally throwing out biological warfare weapons, like, it feels out of character, and I would totally, like, yeah, you have the doctor do that and you explore that. I don't think the show is going to explore that the way it would need to be explored for it to be pulled off effectively. It's the only thing I liked about the story was, and that part of that worked, was Tegan's exit, because it didn't feel like, oh, Tegan's just done with all the death. It felt like the doctor's changed in front of Tegan and she's leaving because she doesn't understand what she's doing here anymore.
No, exactly. And I think her exit is very well handled. And somewhat reminiscent of Victoria leaving in Fury from the Deep. But I think, which I mean was a pretty brutal story in itself. But in this one, it's almost a little bit more sad because, yeah, like you said, it's partly due to the way that the doctor has started to conduct himself. And you know, I don't think they necessarily needed to have a big monologue about the whys and wherefores of it. I think you get it from the performance, and I think that if you've been watching the show, you know, over the years, you will understand where it's coming from. I think.
I just, like I said, I did not enjoy this story overall. I found it very boring. I found all of the outfits very dumb.
Well, yes. The outfits are very dumb. You know, I have no idea. Okay, the Darth Vader armor, like, I kind of got what they were going for, because there's a little eye stalk on it, and there's Dalek bumps on it, and they're carrying Dalek guns. So it's almost like they've turned these human troopers, you know, it's almost like they're wearing Dalek costumes in a way. And I understood that. I just wish they had done that in a way that didn't make them look like fucking idiots.
I thought the twist was very obviously coming.
What twist?
That the meek guy is actually under Dalek control.
Oh. Well, whatever. He couldn't stand the confusion in his mind.
I thought the scenes of them the Daleks out of the casing attacking were cool.
Yes, they were.
But I found this story just very plotting and boring.
Well, I thought it was quite exciting, so you're wrong. I'll just shut that down. No, I mean, a lot of the complaints from this story are basically like, it seems like fans kind of had the same reaction that Tegan did, where it was like, this is too much and it's too far, and the Doctor is acting in a way that he shouldn't. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that's kind of the point. I think it wouldn't be effective unless it had gone that step over the line. Like I said, I don't think this quite reaches up to the heights that Earthshock did. But I think overall it's pretty well executed. My only real complaint with this story is the fact that it's a little bit too overloaded with, again, like when I mentioned, like, oh, there's robot sleeper cells, or the duplicate sleeper cells on Earth, and the Doctor's like, it'll be fine. And then it's like, oh, we want to assassinate the High Council. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You know, again,
there's too many plot lines.
Yeah, but it's too much, because they, like, those two interesting things are raised and then never brought up again. And especially the High Council thing, I thought was really interesting because, again, like playing off of Genesis, like, you know, if the Time Lords basically tried to prevent your race from ever existing, you'd want to get back at them. And like, this is another one of those stepping stones, I think, on the way to the Time War that would have been interesting to explore.
Yes, but like,
then,
the story is just, like I said, there's just way too much going on. Like, you don't need that. You don't need the.
No, you don't.
You don't. You know what? Yes, the Dalek infighting can be interesting, but you don't need that on top of like all of this other stuff. As you keep adding more and more layers, none of it feels explored like it should.
I think the infighting works, especially by the climax when they're all firing off at each other. But I do think that there are definitely a few steps too far, and I think at least the sleeper duplicates and the High Council should have been either touched on later or like saved for another story or something. And then Davros, like I said, I don't think Davros needs to be in every Dalek story, because I don't think Davros works in Dalek stories. Davros works in Davros stories. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's
a faction of like
unless
like fanatic Daleks with Davros, sure, but I don't need Davros and the rest of the Daleks.
No, and like, but unless the story, like, Davros works when his character is focused on, and when his character is explored, and when they have, emphasis on his relationship with the Doctor, which they don't meet face to face for most of the story. Like, and so instead, what we get most of the time, and is the case here, is a guy who screams too much from his little scooter chair. And that's kind of not good. And, the classic series did it. The new series did it. And I don't know why.
There's something off about the Davros mask this time, too.
It was off. It's been off ever since Genesis. Also, because Destiny had... hang on. Destiny had... the mask was off in Destiny 2 because they had a new actor in, but they kept the same mask, so it didn't fit. And it was all fucked up. And then this one, I think, is a new mask, but it looks like shit.
Yeah, it looks very bad.
And I believe this is Terry Malloy taking over the role of Davros.
Okay, so yes, it is a recasting of Davros. And were the Daleks recast as well? Because they sound a little different.
They always do in the classic series, honestly. Like, they never really... Okay, the thing with the Daleks is, like, so obviously they're talking through a ring modulator, right? They never really wrote down or kept what the settings were, so they kind of just winged it every time, and sometimes they sound a little weird.
Feels like it wasn't modulated enough, and that literally the performance of the lines was a bit off.
Yeah. They never really kept a lot of consistency with Daleks in the classics. I mean, that's why, like, Day of the Daleks, the John Pertwee story with the DVD, they had Nick Briggs dub them over because they sounded so bad.
Well, I will also say that scene towards the end when the two groups of Daleks are firing on each other was really good. But then immediately after that, they all started oozing shaving cream, and it was lame.
I liked it. You're I'm surprised that's not up your alley, honestly, because you'll take the stop motion toy dinosaurs, but the shaving cream, that's too much.
It was white, like,
so
it looked.
I think they probably should have colored it, but I don't mind it the way it is.
Ooze marshmallow. Like, I should not look at that and be like, it looks like when they blew up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like, that's not the color Daleks are. They're gross and disgusting. Why is this white? These dye it like a yellowy pus white.
You sound like a robot, and I don't understand you.
It was lame.
Well, whatever. And I just don't like how Davros shouts so much in this story. Like, he's always been a ranter, but man, oh man, does he get loud. And starts screaming it to no one in particular. And like I said, so this is Terry Malloy, I believe, who also plays him, has continued to play him at Big Finish, and his performances have always been good. So I don't know if it's just because he's on audio, he's more conscious of his voice performance, or if this was just kind of
it could be the
kind of slipping into the role and going a little too far the first time out. But or even I mean, I don't know. I'd hesitate to call it the direction, because, like I said, I think the regulars especially are very good. I think Not Osgood is very good. The sarcastic station doctor and the new, like, prison lieutenant or whatever, they're all pretty good.
I just wish the material was more interesting.
Some pretty good lines in there too. Like, I think Turlough's like tagging along with the surviving guards, and they're going into the destruct self-destruct area, and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And they're like, "Guess." Take a wild guess, Turlo.
Yeah, you know what? I did like her. I didn't find her role very necessary overall.
Well, I mean, she's there to give the the black guy prison lieutenant like somebody to talk to until Turlo shows up, basically.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
there's just one too many story. It was part of that one too many storyline problem.
I wouldn't call her a storyline.
Just it's pieces of the puzzle, okay?
She's not even a piece. She's a secondary character who's got a bit of sass. Like that's literally it. And frankly, I will take that over bland Base Under Siege stock characters any fucking day.
But there were already. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of characters in the story, Kate.
I don't mind.
Okay.
I mean, characters no, plot points yes, characters not really. I mean, yeah. Characters have there's a very high mortality rate in this story, so they don't typically live long if they're not that important. And even if they are, they still don't usually live.
So, but I think that's about everything we have to say about
Probably. I mean, I'd like to get some more of your thoughts about Tegan's departure, because I guess as just to illustrate this is at the end of the story, she's kind of surrounded by blood and gore and dead people and exploded Daleks. She's had enough, and it's not fun for her anymore. And the Doctor's kind of gone down a bit of a road she doesn't like, and decides to take off and for good this time. And I mean, yeah. So I mean, you and I think we like Tegan more than the average viewer, and I think. Even if she did, and even if we didn't like her, she is the longest running Peter Davison companion out of all of them. So
it was good. I like Tegan. I think I didn't really like this episode, but I feel like they made it work with her departure.
Yeah, I mean, I much prefer something like this to, I don't know, Vicky marrying a random Trojan that she met 2 days ago or whatever, or like, sometimes like with Steven where he finds a planet and he's like, good enough. I'll stay here. I much prefer this kind of more of an emotional endpoint for a companion than kind of just, ditching them. Which the classic series is guilty of sometimes. As much as I hate the new series and not being able to let anybody go without 10-minute speeches and lots of tears, it is better than kind of just abandoning Dodo or something.
Yeah.
So, but this really works well for me, I think, and I think it also says a lot about Turlo's character as well, that he doesn't like the situation he finds himself in, but he doesn't raise the same concerns that Tegan does. He sticks with the Doctor. He doesn't say anything really one way or the other. And during the course of the story, like when he's away from the Doctor and with the guards, like he's still got a bit of teeth to him, where he's like, how are we going to get past them? And he's just like, well, we're going to kill them, obviously. So in a sense, like the rather shitty adventures the Doctor has found himself in lately, I think are much more suited to Turlo, or rather Turlo is better equipped to deal with them pragmatically.
Yeah.
So yeah. We're all gay. And I like this story pretty well, but I understand why you don't, mostly. And it is pretty divisive. There are definitely people who really hate this one.
Yeah, I don't really hate it, but I just didn't care for it. I was bored and I was ready to move on.
Fair enough.
So, what's next, Kate?
Speaking of moving on, the Doctor and Turlo are moving on to some audio adventures on their own.
Oh boy.
Without any dumb girls getting in the way of them having fun.
Okay.
Okay. So next week we've got a trio of audios: Phantasmagoria, Lugaroo, and Singularity.
Excellent.
Yes,
Let's go party with the boys.
go party with the boys. All three of these are the from the monthly range, and Phantasmagoria actually is the second episode in the monthly range. So it's actually, I think this is the earliest audio we've ever covered.
What's the first one?
It's a multi-doctor story with 5, 6, and 7. So I've stuck it with 7 in my schedule.
That's how monthly Doctor stories normally work.
No.
Sorry, that's a multi-Doctor story.
Yes. That's what I do. Is I just go with whoever the latest Doctor is generally, unless it's like a quick like cameo or something like that. But if it's like a full-on like multi-Doctor story, then yeah, I just keep it where it goes with the latest one. Anyway, those 3 things next week.
All right, sounds great. Bye, everyone.